everybody, and welcome to Art with Mrs. Beaufeaux. Today we're working on a cartoon image of a really famous character created by Theodor Seuss Geisel, also known as Dr. Seuss. This image is the Grinch. We're going to be looking at what cartoons are and how they affect different art and how it creates an exaggerated style of something that is recognizable. We're also going to talk about how Dr. Seuss created some of his own images and some of his own characters with his big, amazing creative brain. Let's get started. In art, not all forms of artwork are really polished or taken totally seriously. An example of this is a cartoon. A cartoon is defined as a simple drawing showing the features of its subjects in a humorously exaggerated way. So if you look at the top row, I've got Peppa Pig, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and Mickey Mouse. And then if you look to the bottom row, I put the images of the live action stuff. So we've got a real pig, we've got Jim Carrey dressed up as the Grinch, and we've got a mouse. I want you to look at the differences and see how the cartoons are humorous exaggerations of the actual images that we're trying to portray. Step 1 in our project, same as always, name, date, and class on the back of your image. This is Theodor Seuss Geisel, also known as Dr. Seuss. He was an American author, illustrator, political cartoonist, poet, animator, filmmaker, screenwriter, and artist. He was from Springfield, Massachusetts. He lived from 1904 to 1991 and passed away at 81 years old. He's best known for writing and illustrating more than 60 books under the pen name Dr. Seuss. Started his career in advertising in 1927. Something that's interesting is that he wasn't actually a doctor. It was just a name that was given to him, and that he actually went to school to become a teacher. Okay, back to our project. You're going to flip your paper over and we're going to start out with some basic lines. We're going to start out with a heart that looks really open, okay? Adding in 2 lines for the neck and the collar of the Santa suit underneath that. And then we're going to be moving on to step 3, which is the top. So we put 2 lines on top of the heart and then we create that lining again for the top of his hat. We're going to have 2 triangles facing each other for his eyes, and his nose is the shape of a heart. When making his mouth, make sure that you have these funny points and that you have the line that goes up to his nose. That's an important stylistic image that goes along with the Grinch. Now, our Grinch has always had really nice eyelashes, and his eyes are going to be shaped in the middle with 2 little semi-lines. Okay, moving on to step 4, let's take a look at the hat. We're going to start out with a shape that's like a crooked triangle, and then we're going to finish with the end of the hat. Some really interesting things about how the Grinch Stole Christmas is that it evolved over time. As we know that Dr. Seuss was an author and illustrator, his original story was in book form, and it was published in 1957. As we go through the years, the story changes, as does the illustration style. It turned into a movie in 1966, and I wanted to show you this really cool newspaper ad from when it would air on TV. Above it, you see a color photograph or still of the image from the movie from 1966. Looking over to the Jim Carrey version, this became a live-action version of the story, and it was released in 2000. It was under a family fantasy title, and I remember going and seeing it and just thinking it was scary and hilarious and all the things. There were some really cool cinematic elements to this, including lots of little things, like when he eats the glass bottle, the bottle was actually made out of sugar, so he only had 1 take to do it. In November of 2018, a new animated version of Dr. Seuss's The Grinch came out, and it was through the Illumination presentation company. I just love the story. I think it's really interesting how it evolves, and it shows us that Christmas isn't about the gifts. It's about being nice to people and remembering to always see the good in everyone, like Cindy Lou Who does. So let's get moving with our project. Here we go with step 5. We're going to use some oil pastels to color in the Grinch. I'm using a lime green over this green paper, and you can see that the color is really starting to pop. Remember, if you need a little more room, you can go ahead and strip down your oil pastel using that paper. So go ahead and color in all portions. Try not to color in the eyes, try not to color in the nose, that kind of stuff, but you really want to get a good layer of oil pastel down. The eyes in the original illustration were yellow, and we're going to use orange for the inside. Here we are moving on to step 6. Grab a white oil pastel, and you're going to color in those sections of the Santa suit, giving it a nice thick layer of white oil pastel. Now on to some of my favorite parts. With a red oil pastel, we're going to complete the rest of the Santa suit, making sure that we are giving, again, a heavy layer, so you're going to be pressing down kind of hard. But if you press down too hard, remember, oil pastels do snap. So go ahead and fill that in. Step 7, we're going to fill in some of these details with a black oil pastel. This can go right over those other colors and really clean up the image. Then we're also going to use dark green to frame the rest of our Grinch. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I had a lot of fun with this project and I hope you do too.